All right, so in the case of responsibility, business obligations, being OGs, what happens when it's your peers that's going in the wrong direction? Case in point, Joel Ortiz and Crooked I released an album called, I think the death, not the death,
of Slaughterhouse, End of Slaughterhouse, Condemn House, and something I can't remember the name. Pardon me, y'all.
No, but look at how Royce is gonna let us sit here and try to remember. like I know what it is.
I just don't want to cut y'all off. That's all. I'm letting y'all get y'all shit off. It's called The Rise and Fall of Slaughterhouse.
Rise and Fall of Slaughterhouse. Right. Mm-hmm. So, in that case, how was that dealt with?
How was it dealt with?
Yeah.
Which part? You talking about how was it dealt with on me and Joe's side?
Yeah, where do you guys stand now?
Where I stand is they made a decision, and the decision that they made is kind of like something that you got to kind of look at from two different angles. One angle is the friendship, and then the other angle is the business side of it. The business that we had in place, because of the decision that they made and the move they made and the nature in which they made that move, made it impossible for us to come behind it and do that particular business.
Right.
We can't come behind, we can't come behind you guys announcing to the world that Slaughterhouse is over with and then try to sell a Slaughterhouse fan a Slaughterhouse t-shirt. It's kind of, when you make that announcement and then the whole album is kind of about how everything is our fault and, like painting me to look a certain way in order to drive traffic to streaming platforms, and everything is kind of at our expense. You made it messy. You divided up our fans into some people who believe you guys, some people who believe us. I just think once you do that, especially since it's a brand that's been sitting for so long without any activity, right. I just think that's what killed it. So,
do you think they were trying to bait y'all?
I mean, that would be an assumption.
Right.
I think it's a possibility. I think.
Was it a discussion? Did you and Joe say, "Yo, they're trying to bait us to really go at them"?
No, I don't remember having that discussion. We were too caught up in just not in disbelief and not even being able to believe that they would make that kind of a move in lieu of everything that was going on. Like, we were doing conference calls talking about future things that we were going to do creatively, things that we were going to do to relaunch the brand, relaunch the site, relaunch
did they
merch.
Need money, Royce?
Huh?
Is the bottom line is it seems like from the outside looking in, like they needed money. Was that a factor in this whole situation?
Circumstances kind of reveal
like they needed money, right?
Okay, well, if they needed money, I mean, what's the point with that?
They're not gonna ask y'all for the money, so I guess that they want to put out a project and be men and try to make their money themselves, like go on tour,
yeah. I mean,
figure out what they need to figure out.
I think that's where the lines get fuzzy because, Joel and Crook put out the most projects out of anybody in the group since the group has been a group. You know what I mean? So obviously them doing music without me and Joe has never been a problem.
Is it making money?
That's interesting. Because if they're jumping, I'm about to add on what he's about to say. If they're putting out personal projects, what was the gap between the Slaughterhouse albums? Maybe that's the biggest money maker.
Yeah, maybe
we
it is.
know that's the biggest
but
money
I'm
maker.
saying, but what's the gap? Hold on.
Go ahead.
For them to jump ahead, why didn't you and Joe do it? I know Joe said he didn't like the business model. He wanted to control his destiny, but why isn't collectively all four of y'all saying, well, Joel and Crooked is in a situation, let's come together and make sure they're good?
Well, the situation that you guys are talking about, you speaking about the deal that Crooked said he put on the table, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so if everybody in here, if we're all a group, and I come to the table with a business proposition, and let's say it doesn't necessarily suit everybody's business practices, which we've always ran into that issue with Slaughterhouse.
Right.
It took us a year to close the Shady deal. So my job, my responsibility to you as your friend and group member is not to agree to everything that you put on the table.
Right.
My job as your friend and And how I like to handle things is to extend you the courtesy. If you present something and I don't feel like that's the best way to go, some sort of contingency plan, something moving in a direction other than just no. You know what I mean? So if it was a situation where Crook put something on the table and we just shot it down, then I would understand his frustration. We didn't shoot it down, we just asked questions. We asked the standard questions that you would ask when somebody presents something to you and it's just at the point of conversation. Until something is in black and white on paper as a proposal, it's not even a real thing. So it never was a real thing for us to say no or yes to.
We never got paperwork or nothing.
No, there never was any paperwork. It never got anywhere close to that because the guy who was making the offer, the quote unquote offer, was a guy who I introduced Crooked to, who I did prior business with, who Joe did prior business with. So he's somebody who not only can contact me, he can contact Joe, he can contact Ian, he can contact Keno. He's done plenty of separate business with Keno. And there was a situation that he allegedly had through a major, I think it was Warner or something like that. So you know how it goes, man. Like if it's somebody coming and they're trying to middleman, they're attempting to middleman a situation between us and Warner. A lot of the questions were like this. Okay, well, what would the terms of the deal be? So far, all you guys are saying is that Tony is interested in giving us $200,000 a piece to do an album.
And that was all they needed to hear.
What I wanted to know was, okay, they're going to give us $200,000 a piece in return for what?
What's the point?
In return for what? We gonna record it in my studio. Are we gonna have a recording budget? Am I gonna pay for that? Is it gonna be in my studio and I'm gonna eat the studio time? Because I'm open to that too. Right. But I gotta ask. Mm-hmm. When we do Slaughterhouse albums, the majority of the work always falls on me. I need to ask certain questions so I can properly prep, so I can know, because I can talk Joe into doing things. I can tell you right now, Joe's not interested in taking a big ass advance from no fucking record label, especially not from no guy in the middle of a record label when we can go straight to Warner or anybody else.
Right.
And this is a guy that I did business with who, like, to be honest, like, if he say that he trying to get that kind of bag to us, I'm curious as to what the real bag is that he can get from Warner for us.
Right.
Because it's like, when are we gonna stop letting these white boys? When we gonna stop letting these white boys just fucking rob us? And just because you in business with him and you got other business with him and you feel like you want to please him and you like doing business with him, that's your right. But I'm not obligated to have to do that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even saying no, nigga. I'm just asking you questions. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I know Tony. You know what I mean? Like that dude is like, he'll rape you if you let him. You know what I'm saying? So Crook got some kind of connection to him. This guy don't like Joe. So, you know, the whole way that they framed it was, well, okay, well, what if Joe ain't rapping? What do you think about the 3-man group? Nigga, the same thing I always thought about the 3-man group. There's no such thing as a 3-man group. I'm not saying I'm not doing it because Joe got to do it. I'm saying I'm not doing it because everybody got to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But to turn around and paint me as this nigga who just like running behind Joe and shit like that, it's like, nigga, y'all know that that's not the case. You know what I mean? Like, there's been times where it's been shows where other members couldn't make it and I didn't want to do those shows the same way. I'm the only member in the group who has done a show with a different member missing. I have experienced a show without Joe, without Joel, and without Crook. I experienced all 3 different scenarios and none of them felt good. All of them felt like something was missing. So for them to take the position is like the lower hierarchy, so to speak, of the group. That's not really the case. The fans are always let down when there's somebody missing. They want to see everybody, and we knew that when we did all of that work to finally get the brand off of Shady, because that's another thing that they didn't tell y'all. They didn't tell y'all that all of this time we've been working on taking the brand off of Shady, and we just got it off of Shady.
Just got it.
We had just got it off of Shady, so the fact that move didn't align with the conversations that we were having. That move right there says it all. We had all just took the label off of Shady. We all were having conversations with an attorney. We all were having Zoom calls about what the next move for Slaughterhouse were, and Joe was a part of all of those conversations. Not at one time did any of them say, yo, I'm a little apprehensive about moving forward because I feel like, Joe, are you really seriously gonna rap? Nobody expressed that in those conversations. Everybody was just fine on those conversations.
It's the retire, because Joe's always said, I'm retired, I'm not doing it. So the way you're painting it, it's like, for you guys, for the sake of Slaughterhouse, he's ready to go.
Yes, because that's just the truth, bro.
Joe's the cancer, bro. It's like, even though this story is, or this, I don't even know what you call this, beef, tension, whatever. It's just been going on forever now, man. I wish these fools could just sit down and talk to each other, shoot the breeze, and figure this shit out, man. But it ain't, because everybody got their own perspective, but nobody wants to listen to nobody, man. But I mean, from what I gathered the last time they had all this fucking back and forth and bullshit, was Joe is the goddamn cancer, man. I mean, Royce is emotional, Joe is the cancer, but all it takes is motherfuckers just sit down and talk to each other and figure this shit out, man. But I'm trying to get caught up on all this shit, man, because Crook and Joel out here clapping back at what Royce said during his fucking interview, so I'm trying to figure out what the fuck took place. So let's continue.
Got you.
We having conversations. Everybody's involved in these conversations. It's not like Crooked was busy that day and he didn't get to hear, these different conversations. Everybody was involved in the conversation. And Joe's position, actually his public position, has always been, I'm retired, I'm not rapping again, but I will consider rapping with Slaughterhouse, but it can't be on Shady Records, and we have to own it. If we own it, because think about it, Slaughterhouse is something that all four of us got together and collectively build over like a 10-year time, man. It's like the only tangible thing, the only tangible asset that we built and that we have, that we can honestly say that we built it from the mud with really no help. Right. You know what I'm saying? So like putting it on Shady had a lot of perks. And then there was a lot of downside to that as well, to try to continue to scale it in a major label kind of an infrastructure. That was a little bit difficult for us to kind of find that sweet spot. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of Joe's trauma responses to things that he's been through in the music business and the way that he reacted to things just kind of affected the morale, and it affected the business relationship, the working relationship with Shady Records. So the only logical next step was either to leave it on Shady and let it die on Shady, which why would we do that?
Or get it off.
So we took it off. But understand that when we have to go in to fight to take it off, that's a Royce the 5'9" fight. That's a Royce the 5'9" fight with my friends.
Marshall
and Paul. That's a strain on my relationship with my friends. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but that's a sacrifice that I'm willing to take, because I have a responsibility to Crooked, Joel, and Joe, just from the camaraderie and the things that they have, the luxuries that they have afforded me by grinding with me when we all were just on the internet doing our thing. And you called me and said, yo, why don't y'all do your version of Swagger Like Us? And you named every person. It should be you, Joel, Crooked, and Joe.
He's telling you I started the group.
So when you think about it from that,
he's telling you I started the group.
I'm telling you,
Mecca started Slaughterhouse. Just so y'all caught that.
So when you think about it,
that's why I keep him on the show.
When you think about it from that perspective, to allow, because at that time, if you feel like you don't trust that Joe is gonna rap, that's the time to say it right there. And you know what? I can respect that, because I love niggas. And I'll just we'll just move on. It's a fight not worth fighting. But if we all agree as a group that we about to fight that fight, now let's go fight the fight. We went and fought it, and then they were gracious enough to let us off the label. So now we off the label with somewhat of a strained relationship between me and them. Right. But that's something I'm willing to put on the line for them. You know what I mean? Right. And I'm also confident in the love as friends that me, Paul, and Marshall have.
You'll get back.
Yeah, I'm not really tripping. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've done we did Bad Meets Evil over there. There's a lot of great things that came from us being over there. You know what I mean? But it just hit a time where it was time for me to put these different things into perspective. And Slaughterhouse is one of those things that I just felt like it was something that we needed to be in control of. And now I feel the same way about Prime. I'm not gonna we can do a deal tomorrow with Prime on any label, you know what I mean? And it can work out or it may work out. But if it don't work out, I just don't think Prime is something, because of the way in which it was built, should ever sit somewhere. It should be, the people who build it should be the ones who say how it falls apart, if it's gonna fall apart.
Royce the 5'9" said something about you bringing a bad deal to the table or something of that nature. Can you tell me what's the backstory with that? Like what he's talking about?
I mean, we just did an album, me and Joel Ortiz, called The Rise and Fall of Slaughterhouse. You know what I'm saying? Where we just musically told the story of the group's rise and fall from our own perspective. We kind of just wanted to talk to the fans of Slaughterhouse. It was an album made to talk directly to the fans. Okay, the other two members, they didn't like that, which we knew they wouldn't. We anticipated that, but before we did that album, I came to the table with a deal for Slaughterhouse. Now, keep in mind, it's 2022. The last official Slaughterhouse album came out in 2012. That's 10 years ago. So if you're going to do anything with the brand, I would think that you would do it before 10 years pass. 10 years pass. If you let a brand just sit for 10 years, I don't think you care about it. And I tried a lot, to get the group back together. Blind loyalty, you know what I'm saying? Let's get the guys back together. Let's get the band back together.
So one of the things that I'd have to side with Royce on that though, because I can't remember. I don't know exactly, but I want to say that Slaughterhouse was still signed to Shady Records, and they had to wait 10 years to get the group off the label. Otherwise, they can't do any work. You know what I mean? So it's like they just got off the fucking label, so now it's time to fucking dig in and do something with the fucking group. They weren't allowed to do anything before that. So when he says that, that doesn't add up to me.
All that was my energy. You feel me? And it was just blind loyalty to friendships, and you know what I mean. I couldn't get the picture. I wasn't able to fully see the picture that this wasn't never gonna happen again. You know what I mean? And that
because it all started from Joe. Joe said he wasn't gonna work anymore with fucking Slaughterhouse until they were off Shady Records, because he wasn't fucking with Shady Records. So that's why he sat there for fucking ever. Because it all comes down to Joe. Joe's the fucking cancer. But those stories not aligning, and Royce's perspective on that sounds much more accurate than what the fuck he's saying. He's talking from feelings from what he's saying. I mean, they had to wait 10 years to get off the camp, right?
There were clues, but like I said, loyalty and friendship will make you turn a blind eye to the clues and the hints if you allow it to. So I brought a deal to the table to call everybody bluff. Okay, y'all keep saying. First, Joe Budden, he said, "Yo, if we get off Shady Records," because he was having some, disagreements in the public with Shady Records. If we get off Shady Records as a group, we get an official release, I'll come out of retirement and rap with the group, which I never believed that. But, he said it. So I said, all right, cool. We all put in for the attorney. We got an official release from Shady Records. You know what I'm saying? Shady didn't try to hold us back or.
But that just happened.
You owe us this amount of money and all that. You know what I'm saying? I think M and Paul Rosenberg were very gracious. You know what I'm saying? I think, it just didn't work. So we got out of the deal. About a year and some change passed. Crickets. I thought y'all said if we get out of the record deal, y'all go back in and make some Slaughterhouse music. We got fans sitting there asking us about music every single day. I can't even fucking tweet without them asking me about music. I can't post nothing on Facebook.
Okay, so it makes more sense then. He's focused on the year and a half that went by. There wasn't no movement, which is valid. Year and a half go by. I'm thinking, if I'm a Slaughterhouse, we waited 10 years if I can get off the label to do some work, and a year and a half goes by and it's crickets. All right, that makes no sense.
Instagram without them asking me for music.
But it's just Joe. It's just Joe, bro. It's just Joe, dog. It's just Joe. It's just Joe. You gotta get rid of Joe. But you can't get rid of Joe because he's Slaughterhouse, man. It's just Real Housewives of Slaughterhouse, bro.
Where y'all at with this? Oh man, we just gotta find the time to get together. Yeah, I've been hearing that for 10 years. So I decided to call it bluff, man, and I went and found a great deal. You know what I'm saying? One album deal. Okay? ownership of masters, 7-figure advance, not a 360. You know what I mean? We own all our merch rights, concert rights, our likeness and image. One album, 7-figure advance, ownership of masters.
But Roy said everybody gonna get a 200,000. So 200,000 times 4 is 800,000. So we missing another fucking, and that's not even 7 figures. So, bro, it's just so much shit missing, dog. It's so much shit missing, bro. Y'all can't y'all grown ass go sit at the fucking round table and figure this shit out, hash this shit out, bro. But it's all good. I'm gonna fuck. I want to hear some rap beef, man. So y'all keep at it, bro. We got some Eminem rap beef coming up, and then some Slaughterhouse rap beef coming up, bro. It's about that time.
Nowhere near a 360. And I even got it in a channel because one of the members was having some issues with one of the big 5 distribution companies. I got the deal through a channel that was outside of that particular company, so they couldn't come in and do anything and try to strong arm anything. This is a whole new channel where I got this deal at. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't want to do it. You know, to Royce and Joe, you know, Joe like that. I don't want to do it. I don't like it. Well, what you don't like about it? He wouldn't even give me a phone call to tell me what he didn't like about it.
It's the same. It's the same story. It's the same. Fucking Math Hopper. You just good. Hey, it's on him to fucking re-spark this drama. I feel like I'm having deja vu. We've heard all this shit already before.
Oh, you know what I did? I went on Twitter and I let our fans know, yo, I'm giving Slaughterhouse 48 hours to call me about a deal. If they don't call
That's
me,
messy.
I'm never trying to do this shit again.
That's
I
messy.
just put it in the public real quick so they could understand the gravity of this and so people could see it play
That's
out
messy,
in real
bro.
time. And I got a phone call from Royce. I got a phone call from Joel Ortiz, but Joe was still not calling because Joe,
It's Joe.
I guess he felt like, and this later on this came out, Crook always coming around with a deal. You know, my whole thing was either shit or get off the pot. Here's the deal. All we got to do is go rap 11 times on the song. Everybody walk away with some money. Fans walk away with some good art. And we close the chapter on this whole shit. Joe didn't want to do it. Royce didn't want to do it without Joe. The end.
Yep.
It's not even complicated. So once that went down, I came back to the table to Royce and say, yo, I went back up there. We could do a 3-man Slaughterhouse, just me, you, and Joel, since Joe is retired. Royce didn't want to do it. It's not Slaughterhouse without all 4. Okay,
It makes sense though, but they ain't nothing else to be. There's nothing else I can say, bro. It's the same shit. It's the same shit, bro. You know, Royce giving all his details about what he didn't like about the deal, and then Crook giving his perspective on why the deal's so great, man. Like, it's a big piece of information missing, bro. I'm inclined to think it's just Joe. It's just Joe. It's what I said the last time. It's just Joe. So, and Joe killed Slaughterhouse, but
You know, and that was the last time that I would ever speak on that type of shit ever happening again. Me and Joel went inside this booth and we start telling our truths, and we was living in our truth. And the other 2 reacted to it as if we went in there and did no Vaseline, bomb first.
it wasn't even crazy. It didn't have no vicious
That's how
shit
they
on it.
reacted to it. So now that album came out, I think sometime in March or something like that. I don't know. And then now, you know, Royce he has a greatest hits album that he's promoting, and he's making his rounds. And you know, he stopped at the Breakfast Club, and he said, "Yo, Crook brought a bad deal to the table." You know what I'm saying? And we didn't
trying
want
to
to
paint
do it.
him with the bad brush.
And then I heard his manager say, "You being nice, man. He brought a real fucked up deal to the table," or something in that order. You know, and his manager wasn't even there because him and Royce weren't even working together at the time. So how do you know what the deal is, my brother Keno? You don't know, my brother. So just, I get it. You gotta stick.
All right, man. It's just more the same, bro. It's a bunch of fucking whole ass shit, man. Anyway, stop talking so much. Get on the fucking Get on the fucking records. Let's hear some rap beef. Joe, Royce, Crook, Joel. Like, why was Joel so tight? I must have missed something in the original interview with Mav Hoffa, because I didn't hear Royce say anything disrespectful. I just heard this perspective, which was entirely different than these motherfuckers. So yeah, it's a buttload of information missing. But I mean, it's just Joe. It's just Joe. Like always, it's just Joe.